A shadow moves across the canopy, then another, and another. The air is thick with the scent of life and danger. This is not our world. This is their world. Welcome back to Beyond Space, where we explore the universe one mind-blowing idea at a time. For 160 million years, dinosaurs were the undisputed rulers of Earth. Not for a few centuries, not for 1,000 years, but for a span of time so vast, it makes human history look like the blink of an eye. To put it in perspective, the dinosaurs' reign would last longer than 2 months if human history were to be summed up in a single day. They were a varied, dynamic dynasty, not merely enormous lizards shambling through swamps. Dinosaurs adapted to every part of the planet, from the swift, feathered hunters that darted through the underbrush to the enormous plant eaters, whose footsteps could tremble the earth. They flourished in polar regions, arid deserts, and tropical forests. They survived shifting continents, changing climates, and mass extinctions that wiped out other species. And here's the truth that makes their story magnetic. They didn't just live, they dominated. Every ecosystem bent to their presence. Every predator-prey relationship was shaped by their relative power. For millions upon millions of years, they were nature's ultimate experiment in survival and supremacy. But then, in a geological instant, it was over. A rock from space, roughly 10 kilometers wide, slammed into what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The force was equivalent to billions of nuclear bombs. The sky ignited. Oceans boiled, forests burned, and the age of dinosaurs ended not with a slow fade, but with a cataclysm. However, extinction is not the only aspect of their story. It has to do with perseverance, because, in a sense, they were never really gone. The living descendants of dinosaurs, birds, continue to soar above us today, as a reminder that life perseveres, even in the face of adversity. Why is this important to us? Because we currently live under the same sky that destroyed them and the same earth that supported them. Their tail serves as a mirror, illustrating to us the brittleness of power and the speed at which the laws of survival can shift. Therefore, keep in mind that this is more than just ancient history as we enter their world in this video. It serves as a warning, it's a lesson, and it's a chance to witness the most extraordinary chapter nature has ever written. Picture the Earth, not as we know it, but as a single colossal continent, Pangaea, stretching from pole to pole. The heat is thick in the air. It is a patchwork of sparse forests and endless deserts. The wind carries the sting of dust across desolate plains, and rivers are scarce. It's the late Triassic period, about 230 million years ago. The planet is still healing from the greatest biological disaster in its history, the Permian extinction, a catastrophe that erased roughly 90% of all species. Oceans emptied, forests vanished, entire lineages disappeared forever. Fragile but determined, life is scurrying back, and something extraordinary is about to occur in this survival crucible. The first dinosaurs don't show up as enormous giants. Predators like Eoraptor, which is no larger than a medium-sized dog, are small, lean, and streamlined for speed. They hunt insects and small vertebrates by darting through scrubland. With the agility of a contemporary big cat, the longer and more muscular Herrerasaurus stalks its prey. They carry the blueprint for dominance. These newcomers stand tall, while other reptiles scuttle low to the ground. They can run effectively and cover ground rapidly because of their upright posture, which places their legs directly beneath their bodies like pillars. Compared to their rivals' sprawling gait, this is a significant advantage. Advanced breathing. Research indicates that their lungs might have been more effective than those of other reptiles, perhaps resembling the air sac system found in contemporary birds. This translates to stamina, which is the capacity to pursue prey for longer periods of time, endure heat, and continue moving when others become fatigued. These characteristics are not merely anatomical peculiarities. They are tools for survival. Speed and endurance are crucial in a world where resources are limited and competition is intense. These early dinosaurs start to spread from Pangaea's deserts to its coastal fringes. They hunt in a variety of ways, adjust to different terrains, and gradually drive rival species to the periphery. Being opportunists, they exploit every niche created by the previous extinction. Their combination of agility, endurance, and predatory skill is unmatched by anyone, not even the stoic reptiles of the Triassic or the amphibians clinging to swamps. Thus, the dinosaur era begins, initially in silence. They start small, they start fast, and they start everywhere. In the blink of geological time, these survivors will become rulers, and the Earth will never be the same. It's now the Jurassic period, roughly 200 to 145 million years ago. The Earth is warm, humid, and covered in vegetation. Conifers loom above, ferns and cycads cover the ground, and flowering plants are just starting to emerge. An evolutionary leap is fueled by this explosion of plant life as herbivores become larger than ever. Picture yourself standing in the shadow of a Brachiosaurus, its head rising over 12 meters above the forest floor, effortlessly picking leaves from the tallest trees. Or seeing a Diplodocus strip branches in broad arcs while sweeping its 6-meter neck like a living crane. These animals are not just large, they are ecosystems in and of themselves, reshaping the landscape as they go. There must be hunters wherever there are giants. Apex predators, such as the Allosaurus, a muscular carnivore with serrated teeth made to cut through flesh, become more prevalent during the Jurassic period. As it waits for the young or weak to stray, it stalks herds. With its characteristic nasal horn, the Ceratosaurus stalks the banks of rivers, ambushing potential victims as they come to drink. These predators are strategists rather than mindless murderers. According to fossil evidence, certain species engage in pack behavior, which consists of coordinated hunts that improve their chances of success. Every chase is an endurance test, and every kill is a calculated risk. The Jurassic world was a living masterpiece of balance. Towering herds of plant eaters moved through forests like living bulldozers, keeping the greenery in check so it never grew wild beyond control. Predators shadowed them, ensuring those herds never grew too large and stripped the land bare. And in between, smaller dinosaurs filled every gap, scavenging what was left behind, snapping up insects, scattering seeds that would grow into the next generation of plants. Every creature had a role, every role mattered, and at the center of it all, dinosaurs ruled every thread of that web of life. If you could walk among them, you'd feel it instantly. The ground trembling under the weight of a passing herd, the air vibrating with the deep calls of distant hunters. You'd see creatures so massive they seemed to bend reality itself, yet so perfectly adapted they moved with the grace of dancers. This was their golden age, and it would stretch on for tens of millions of years. Their greatest secret wasn't just brute strength or sheer size, it was their ability to change. The earth beneath them was never still. Continents tore themselves apart, carving new coastlines and isolating populations. Volcanoes reshaped the land in fire and ash. Seas rose and swallowed plains, then retreated to leave behind inland oceans. Climate zones shifted like restless tides, forcing every living thing to adapt or disappear. For many animals, these changes were the end. But dinosaurs, they evolved. Feathers began to appear, not for flight at first, but for warmth, wrapping smaller dinosaurs in insulation against the chill. Some may have been bright and dazzling, used to catch the eye of a mate or to warn off rivals. Over millions of years, those simple filaments became more complex, until some species could lift themselves into the air. That leap didn't just give rise to birds, it opened the skies to dinosaurs, letting them hunt from above, escape danger, and explore a whole new dimension of life. Their diets became just as inventive. Some grew long, crocodile-like snouts perfect for snatching fish from rivers and coastal shallows. Others developed intricate arrangements of teeth, hundreds packed together, able to grind down the toughest plants. There were even species with enormous claws, not for killing, but for pulling down branches and stripping leaves. Every adaptation was a solution to a problem the Earth had thrown at them, and every solution gave them another foothold in the game of survival. They didn't confine themselves to one kind of environment. In the tropics, massive sauropods roamed in herds, reshaping forests with every mouthful. In cooler regions, smaller feathered dinosaurs endured long winters, perhaps storing food or migrating when the cold grew too harsh. Along coastlines, land-dwelling dinosaurs shared the bounty of the seas with marine reptiles, each taking what they needed without exhausting the supply. If you could have watched them spread across the globe, you'd have seen a living tapestry of innovation, some sprinting across open plains, others gliding between trees, still others wading into shallow waters to fish. They were not just survivors, they were problem solvers, each new form a testament to their ability to meet the world's challenges head-on. And it was this adaptability, more than anything else, that kept them at the top for so long. But even the most adaptable creatures can't prepare for everything, because one day, the challenge they faced would come from far beyond the Earth itself. The age of dinosaurs had lasted longer than anything we can truly comprehend. Generation after generation, they had adapted, thrived, and ruled. But all of that, 160 million years of dominance, was about to end in the span of a single day. It begins quietly. The sun rises over a lush Cretaceous landscape. Herds of Triceratops graze in the open plains, their horns catching the morning light. A Tyrannosaurus rex moves at the edge of a forest, its massive head swaying as it scans for movement. In the skies, pterosaurs glide effortlessly, riding warm currents of air. Everything feels eternal. Then, far above the clouds, something appears. At first, it's just a speck. Too small to notice, too distant to matter, but it's moving fast. Faster than anything the Earth has ever seen. Within minutes, that speck becomes a blazing fireball, tearing through the atmosphere. The sound is beyond thunder, a roar that shakes the bones of the planet itself. And then, impact. The asteroid slams into what is now the Yucatan Peninsula with unimaginable force. In an instant, billions of tons of rock and water vapor explode into the sky. The shockwave races outward faster than sound, flattening forests, shattering mountains, igniting everything in its path. If you were anywhere near the impact site, you wouldn't have had time to understand what was happening. The heat alone, hotter than the surface of the sun, would have ended life in seconds. But the devastation doesn't stop there. Across the globe, earthquakes ripple through the crust. Tsunamis hundreds of meters high crash into coastlines. The sky darkens as dust and ash spread, blocking out sunlight. Temperatures plummet, plants die, the food chain collapses. For the dinosaurs, there is no escape. The giants fall first, the ones that need the most food, the most space. Predators starve as prey disappears. Even the smallest species struggle to find enough to survive. And yet, in the shadows, a few survivors endure. Small, bird-like dinosaurs, able to eat seeds and insects, cling to life. They will become the birds we know today, the last living link to a world that vanished in fire and darkness. The reign of the dinosaurs ends not with a slow fade, but with a cataclysm. And in their absence, the Earth begins to change again, opening the door for new rulers to rise. And just like that, 160 million years of dominance ended in a single, fiery heartbeat. The dinosaurs' world was gone. But their story didn't vanish. It lives on in the fossils beneath our feet, and in the birds soaring above our heads today. But what happened next is even more astonishing. In our next video, we'll journey into the aftermath, a planet shrouded in darkness, struggling to breathe, and the unlikely survivors who rose to shape the future. Click now and step into the first days of a new world.